Welcome to Vita Ministry. I'm Cassandra Barbato, your host. Let's take just a few minutes to be nourished on God's Word.
It says, in Lystra, a man was sitting whose feet were incapacitated. He'd been disabled from his mother's womb and had never walked. This man was listening to Paul as he spoke. Paul looked at him intently and saw that he had the faith to be made well. And he said with a loud voice, "Stand upright on your feet." And the man leaped up and began to walk. When the crowd saw what Paul had done, they raised their voice, saying in the Lycaonian language, "The gods have become like men and have come down to us." And there's a whole thing that kind of comes out of this, but we'll get into that tomorrow. I wanted to focus in on this one little phrase here in verse 9. It says that Paul looked at him intently and saw that he had the faith to be made well. Now, that always sticks out to me. By the way, that word "made well" means saved. It's actually the word saved. And the word saved and salvation, this is something that we need to know as Christians, has packed into it health and well-being. It actually has packed into it prosperity, where I'm not talking about just money, but I'm talking about in all areas, so that it's being saved from anything that would lead in the direction of death, right? Poverty is one of those things. Illness is one of those things. Anything that leads in that direction, the direction that would go towards death, we are being rescued and saved from that. So that word packs in all of those different things. But he had the faith to be made well. And Paul recognizes something in him when he looked at that man, said he's got the faith to be made well. We know that Christ said, "As your faith is, be it unto you." That rings in my head a lot. As your faith is, be it unto you. And I can sense, even when I think about it throughout my day, when I'm struggling over something and I'm thinking about the faith that I need to receive the power of God in that area, I can sense in my flesh there is a desire to try and figure out how to muster up faith. Luckily, I have enough teaching in the Word that I know that that's not how it comes. That faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of Christ. But there's something that I felt like the Lord wanted me to emphasize, and that there is a place of entering rest. See, when the faith is being stirred up, it's because we're in that place of resting in our trust in the Lord, resting from all of our works and expecting God's works to move. I wanted to take you over a little bit today to a passage in Hebrews that I really like. But let's just read some of it. It says, "Therefore we must fear if, while a promise remains of entering his rest, any one of you may seem to have come short of it. For indeed we have had good news preached to us, just as they did also, but the word they heard did not benefit them, because they were not united with those who listened with faith." It says, "For we who have believed enter that rest." So it could be described like this. We have one work of resting in the works of Christ, right? His work of the cross. This thing, giving up our works, and really it's talking about our means of gaining righteousness with God and becoming a right thing, right in every way. Yes? And as we have set aside our efforts at becoming right and pressing in to the righteousness that we get through just trusting that what Christ did was sufficient, we enter into that place of rest. That one work, our work of believing on Christ for his righteousness, not ours, causes the thing that we need, that place of rest, we enter that place of rest, causes his works of righteousness to manifest in our life. And that happens because everything that he is begins to flow in and through us the more we press in to him being our source of life rather than us.
Thank you so much for joining me today. Let me encourage you to share this episode with the people in your life so they can get that nourishment of God's Word. And hey, did you know that Vita Ministry is a 5-minute excerpt taken from my main podcast, Your Daily Meds? You can hear more at yourdailymeds.org.